We're going to cover and talk about all of the aspects of body recomposition today. Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amanda. If you're new here, I'm an online personal trainer. Also go by the name Sassy Sunflower on social media if you have seen me before. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for watching and tuning in. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about body recomposition, and this is something that I get asked from my clients and people who want to be my client all the time. Just to jump right into this video, let's not waste any time. Body recomposition is at its core when you burn fat and build muscle at the same time. That is the most basic form of it. That is the most basic way to do it, the most basic way to define it. But there are multiple types of body recomposition. Now the first one is what I just said. You build muscle and burn fat at the same time. That's it. The second type is when you build muscle but you maintain your body fat at the same time. And the third type is when you maintain your muscle and burn body fat at the same time. So all of these things are all considered body recomposition, and they all happen through a combination of the amount of calories that you eat, the breakdown of your macros, and the type of workouts that you do. And we're going to cover and talk about all of the aspects of body recomposition today. So first, if you decide that body recomposition, these things sound right to you, sound right up your alley, but you want to achieve, first and foremost, you have to pick your main primary goal. Now, if you genuinely I want to burn fat and build muscle at the same time, that's all you want to do, there isn't one or the other that you want to do more of, cool, we'll stick with that. We'll revisit that in a bit. If you want to do both at the same time, but you kind of want to focus on burning a little bit of fat first, keep that in mind, we'll revisit that. And also on the flip side, if you decide that you're good with what your body fat percentage is, but you want to build a little bit more muscle and you want to focus on building muscle, good, keep that in mind. Now, let's get into the whole diet, calorie, macro breakdown for this. So, regardless of what your main goal is, regardless of what you're really trying to achieve, you want to maintain a high protein intake no matter what. Across the board, you want to keep your protein intake very, very high, because this is going to help either maintain those muscles if you're focusing on burning fat, or build those muscles if that's one of the things that you're really working for. So we got to keep that protein intake high no matter what. So like we discussed earlier, if your main goal, you can't pick, you just want to build muscle, burn fat at the same time, that's it, no preference with either or. You want to eat right at your maintenance calories. And again, you want to keep that protein intake super, super high for everything. If you want to focus on burning a little bit more fat, you want to go into a slight calorie maintenance. And I'm talking between 100 to 300 calories below your maintenance. Very, very slight deficit, but enough that's going to help you focus on burning fat without losing too much of your muscle. And then if you want to focus on building muscle and maintaining your body fat, you want to go slightly above your maintenance. So between 100 to 300 calorie surplus that's above your maintenance. Now your maintenance calories, that's just basically what you need, that's your break-even point. You eat on your maintenance calories, you're not going to gain, you're not going to lose. If you don't know what your level of maintenance calories is, I definitely suggest looking into that, figuring that out, because knowing what your maintenance is really going to help you. And I mean, if you don't want to use an online calculator, there is this way where you can just track your calories every day and track your body changes and see what happens through a 3 to 4 week period. It's kind of annoying. You have to really do a lot of tracking, and I don't really recommend that method. But if you experiment, it feels like a science experiment if you do it that way. So you can, but Google is your friend to get a rough estimate of what your maintenance calories is like. Now, once you figured out how many calories you're gonna eat, whether you're gonna be in a slight surplus, a slight deficit, or right break even at your maintenance for your macros, the higher that your body fat percent is, the less carbs that you wanna eat. And this is because the higher that your body fat percent is, your body already has enough of a reserve of that body fat to use for energy. So you don't really need to give your body any extra energy at that time. You don't really need a ton of carbs. This is not me saying be keto and don't eat a ton of carbs, because I don't like keto and I'm very much pro carb. But speaking in body recomposition terms, the higher that your body fat percentage is, the less carbs you need. You still need carbs, just not as much as if you had a low body fat percent, because you have less fat in your body needs more reserve for energy, and you want them to go to carbs and not take away from your muscle. Something with body recomposition that sometimes I will give to people who do macro consultations with me is it's kind of like light carb cycling. And basically what you do is you just consume less carbs on days that you're not working out, and on the days that you do work out, you increase your carbs. It's just the idea that the more activity that you're doing, the more energy you're going to require, therefore the more carbs that you should eat. This is not necessary. This is something that's very minor. You can experiment with it. It might work for you. It might not make a difference for you. Only way to find out is to try. I hope you're taking notes, kids, because we got a lot more information. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the workout, how you should split your workout, what things you should do, what things you should focus on, what you shouldn't do, all that fun sort of thing. For body recomposition, if your goal is to build muscle or literally build and burn at the same time, no preference, you want to do more low intensity, steady state cardio and not so much high intensity interval training. HIIT workouts, they tend to be a little bit intense. They can go to that muscle reserve and kind of burn some of that muscle that you don't want to go away or you want to burn. So you want to go with low intensity, steady state cardio as your cardio of choice. We still want to do cardio. It's good for the heart. It's good for overall health. So we still want to do that, but opt for that low intensity, steady state cardio. Now, if you're going to be focusing slightly more on fat burn, HIIT is okay, but you still want to limit it to maybe once or twice a week, if that. You don't want to do too much of that because higher impact cardio is more likely to interfere with your muscle growth and your muscle development. And HIIT tends to be very high impact. Now you could do HIIT, you know, on the elliptical, on the stationary bike, things that are a little bit more lower impact, so that might be a little bit better for you. But overall, as a whole, if you're aiming to do body recomposition, more low intensity, steady state, less HIIT. Now, low intensity, steady state cardio, also called LISS. It's when you are doing the same pace for an extended period of time. You're not jumping up and down at different paces. You're not doing different speeds, different jumping movements, whatever. It's like going for a mile walk, going for a jog, walking on the treadmill for 4 miles at the same speed the entire time. Like, it is very steady. It's the same pace. It's low intensity. So even if you want to do running or jogging for your cardio, it's much better to do it on a softer surface, like say a treadmill or the elliptical even, versus running outside on the road, because again, that's higher impact, and higher impact is more likely to interfere with muscle development. Now, the majority of your training sessions should be focused on resistance training and weight training. Now, I know with COVID and everyone being home and not always having weights, this can still count. Resistance training, that still includes like resistance bands, even body weight exercises, but exercises where you're focusing on your muscles and you're not running around, jumping around, doing flips and crazy stuff. Now, I've talked about this in so many videos before, so if you watched my videos in the past, you were probably tired of me talking about this, but you know what? I'm never gonna stop, because it's true and because it really does make a difference, especially with body recomposition. Are you ready? If you watch my videos, you know what I'm gonna talk about right now, but we're gonna do it. We're talking about it. Progressive overload is key. It is key. Chef's kiss. It's key. You have to do it. You have to focus on it. And this is something that I deal with and I help my clients with all the time, whether it's boot camps, whether it's my one-on-one clients. We all do progressive overload because it is so important, especially for body recomposition. Now you're probably wondering, Amanda, why is progressive overload so important? It is so important because it is the key driver for muscle growth. It is how you get stronger. It is how your muscles get bigger. It is how you see results. It's how you see progress. It is the holy grail for muscle growth and seeing progress. You have to do it. There's no way around it. You want to see muscles, you have to progressively overload. I'm sorry, but there's no way around it. Now, for those of you who might not know, progressive overload is when you steadily increase either the reps, the amount of weight that you use, the number of sets that you do, improving on your form, or the rep duration, so like time under tension. All of those things count as progressive overload, and you want to aim to increase those things every session, every week. Just steadily over time, you got to increase them. So that means that you have to focus on the same couple movements and practice them every single week and do them every single week and improve them in some capacity every single week. And I know I've had some things with clients in the past where they wanted more variety and they were tired of doing the same workouts, and I have to just be like, girl, I know we want variety. You can switch it up with your accessory moves and your isolation moves. That's fine. You can switch those up and take those to failure. You're good. But the big chunk of your workout, the first half, your compound movements, you have to do them every single time, every single session, and you got to improve them, increase something every week. And as you advance, it's gonna be every other week, or maybe once a month you'll get a new PR, whether it's a rep PR or a weight PR. But either way, you're just not gonna see the same kind of results if you're switching it up and doing different things every single week. You gotta progressively overload. You gotta stick with some of the same workouts. We have to, you gotta do it. It's okay, but it's gonna be worth it. So if you have a muscle in that you specifically want to grow, you should train that muscle 2 to 3 times a week. So for example, I do legs and glutes 3 days a week because that's the muscle I want to build the most, you know? And like most ladies, that's what we want to build the most. So if you want to build your biceps the most, train your biceps at least twice a week, if not 3 times a week. But you don't want to train if you're sore. You don't want to train if everything still hurts. You want to give yourself ample amount of rest in between sessions as well. Because if you train while you're sore, you're not going to be able to give the session your full self, your full energy. And if you're not giving your full energy, you're not going to be able to hit PRs. You're not going to overload. You're going to spin your wheels. All this sounds great and good, but we got to talk about how you track progressive overload to make sure that, or not progressive overload, see, it's always in my brain. So we have to talk about how you track body recomposition to know it's actually happening and to know if you need to make any changes to your workout plan or to your macros, your calories, whatever the case. So tracking body recomposition, I highly recommend using a combination of the scale, measurements, and progress pictures. You don't want to pick just one and focus on just one. You want to use all 3 in combination. They work together so well. It's a very harmonious combination of tools to really give you a good idea of how you're progressing and if you're actually making moves towards your body recomposition goals. You got to look at all of them because they all tell you a different story. You put them together, you get the full picture. Let me give you some examples to help you understand how using all 3 can really tell you a different story than if you were to focus on just one. So let's say that the number on the scale keeps going down and you're trying to build muscle. If you're just looking at the scale, you're gonna be like, I'm not building muscle. Like, what I'm doing is not working. I'm losing weight. This is not what I want. But here's the thing now. So you're losing weight on the scale, but you go take your measurements and your biceps are bigger and your glutes are bigger. This means you are successfully doing body recomposition. The number on the scale is getting smaller because you're burning fat. Your measurements are getting bigger because you're building muscle. But you wouldn't have known that if you weren't using measurements. You would have thought you were just losing too much weight. And then you take a progress picture and compare it to when you first started your new plan of body recomposition. You'll see that you look more lean, you look more cut, your muscles look bigger and more defined. You got to use all 3. But really the telltale of body recomposition, for just in general terms, regardless of what your specific goal is that the scale will stay relatively the same. It might go up or down very, very slightly, but for the most part, this number on the scale is going to stay about the same. It's all in the measurements. That's going to tell you the biggest chunk of what you need to know and give you the biggest feedback. So your muscle could, let me try that again. The weight on the step, if the weight on the scale is staying the same, but you're seeing growth in your measurements and in pictures you're still looking more lean, you're body recomping, baby. Like it's working, which is so good. We love that. Or on the flip side, if the number on the scale is going down and your measurements are staying the same, you're burning fat but maintaining that muscle mass. Love that. So you have to look at all aspects and you have to use multiple different tools to really track your progress. Now this isn't like, you don't need to become obsessed with tracking progress. You don't need to take this to the extreme and like weigh yourself every day and take your measurements every day. No, you don't need to do that. Weigh yourself a couple times a month, take your measurements maybe twice a month, take pictures once or twice, once a week, once every 2 weeks, compare, make a Google spreadsheet, log everything in there and keep track. If you're really serious about this goal, you'll want to understand that these are tools to help you reach your progress, not things that are meant to overly stress you out or ruin the time for you or make everything so hard and difficult. These things are tools to help you track. If you're someone that you know tracking progress like that, weighing yourself, taking measurements is too much for you, focus just on progress pictures and don't worry about those things. But you really got to be in tune to what your body looks like before you start, how your clothes fit, everything. You got to take everything into account, but it doesn't have to, the tracking of the progress doesn't have to become this really obsessive, like negative thing. So that's going to do it for this video, you guys. I hope that you found it helpful. I hope that you liked it. If you have any questions, leave them below or DM me on social media, send me an email, whatever the case. I'm I'm taking new clients right now, so if body recomposition is something that you want to work on, but you want help, you're not really sure what to do, head over to my website and fill out the form or shoot me an email. I'd love to get back to you, give you some feedback on what I think would be best for your goals, and we'll go from there. If you are not already subscribed to my channel and you want to see more of my face and more of my content, definitely hit that subscribe button below. And don't forget to follow me on social media, Instagram and Twitter. I post there every single day. My @ is at Amanda Sette. I think that's all I have to say for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.